Y'all, this is a special episode of Reality Gaze. This is our first of the Love After Lockup multiverse. This is our first interview, and how appropriate it's with one of our favorite couples, Justine and Michael. Hello.
Yay. Hello, everyone. How you guys doing?
Thank you for having us.
Otherwise known as Jujubee and Montana Mills.
I have to say, I'm so gay that when you called her Jujubee, that's one of my favorite drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race. And I was like, Montana Mills watches Drag Race? I got so excited. And then Jake had to explain it to me.
I had to gay-splain it.
He did have to. And thank y'all for being here today. We know that y'all are very busy building your little empire. And so we've got some questions that we want to know, and some of our listeners, but just first of all, just kind of how has, because I don't know if people, when I talk about Love After Lockup, I think it's like an underground show that people don't talk about, but so many people are watching it. So was that surprising to you how people kind of came out of the woodwork to you?
Yes, actually, we were just out over the weekend and there were so many people that came up to me. So many women that just were coming out of the woodwork, rubbing my stomach. I was like, whoa, who are all these people? Just like out of nowhere. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize how many people really followed the show and were able to pick me out of the crowd. It was pretty wild.
It's a sleeper hit. And you don't imagine a show that comes on Friday night at 9 is going to, but the show has a huge following. We were introduced to it, and I started watching it last season, or a couple seasons ago, and it was just like, this is the most compelling thing I've ever seen.
It's our favorite reality show we cover.
And
it's crazy.
I just have to say, before going on the show, had you really seen it before? Did you know kind of what you were in for? Or
I had no idea. I had no idea until he kind of brought the whole idea of it to me. And then I was like, okay, let me just like watch an episode or something so I can see what I could potentially be getting myself into. And as soon as I seen it, I was like, oh, I'm definitely.
By the time I called in the morning, she'd been watched seasons, and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like,
I had already filled out the application, and they had literally got back to me the next day.
If you watch season 2 with Clint, you're like, I'm not going to look that crazy.
No,
it's hard. So Michael, you brought it to Justine.
Yeah, I brought it to her attention because my cellmate at the time, very good dude, he came in from a phone call and he was like, hey, I was just talking to my girl April, and she said that you guys, she was telling me about Love After Lockup. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's her favorite show. That you and Justine should go on the show. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what is this about? Like, I never knew about the show. So when I called and I told her, she did her research. She called when I called again, she was like, hey, babe, it's a beautiful show. This. She started giving me all the tea. And then I was like, hey, fill out an application. She's like, oh, I already did. So I'm like, oh, you did? And then she's like, yeah, they got back to me already. So I thought she was joking. I'm like, yeah, they didn't get back to you. She's like, no, they did.
No, they did.
Where we have an interview on Friday, I think it was. No?
It was that.
And I'm like, holy shit. So yeah, it was crazy.
I want to ask a question just because we kind of know the backstory a little bit, is that you were Justine, you were working with Michael's mom.
Yes.
And I said, the question is, we know that she kind of fixed you up. Did she just say, so I've got this son in prison, do you want to date him?
Like, how did that work?
No.
Okay, I've got to know how that worked.
So at that time, I was dating. I was, going through a divorce, and I was dating, and her and I had just built like such a great friendship that every day when I would come into work, she'd be like, so how did it go? I'd be like, oh, it was horrible. It was fucking another horror show. So after me coming in, I just couldn't take it anymore. I actually was crying at work, and she came up to me. She's like, what's the matter? And I was like, I can't find anybody. There's nobody out there for me. And then she ended up saying, oh, just in regular conversation, oh, my son. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, because we had been talking and she never mentioned him.
Right.
She actually had mentioned his kids. I didn't know they were his kids, but she mentioned the grandkids, her daughter, her other son, totally left him out completely for months. And so then once she did mention him, she told me his name. She asked me if I knew him because he was pretty well known in Rhode Island. And I said, I have no clue who you're talking about. So I went and I did my research and I was like, ooh, hello. Same reaction you probably had. That same reaction. I was like, hey.
Yeah. I gotta say,
the next day, and I was like all gun ho for it, and so that's when she told me he was in jail and that whole thing, and I was like, well, have you seen your son? That's not gonna stop me.
And you're
so
like,
I just went for it.
And so you just probably started talking, and then when you decided to go for your first kind of date where you like met in person, you're like, I'm getting dolled up to go to prison. And
dolled up, huh? He says it too.
Yeah.
She's like, you're so old.
I hate
every time he says, I'm like, damn, baby, you look all
dolled up. No, I am 88 years old. So I say old expressions. I call a car a jalopy.
But that reminds me, like, I will say, like, you both seemed, especially you, Michael, like a bit of an old soul. And I bring that up because, like, people are fucking crazy on this show sometimes, and whether it's dealing with whatever they're dealing with, but we've noticed, like, what our listeners have responded to a lot is they say we've never seen anyone, I use the word fight or disagree, more adult than anyone we've seen on Love After Lockup. Like, have you
your conflict resolution skills are like, high,
literally. and we bring that up because we don't see this we do 90 Day Fiance. Like, we don't see this a lot in couples.
No.
Like, have you both had a lot of therapy, or like just you both have a lot of emotional intelligence? And the way, just on this last episode, when you kind of talked about like telling your mother about the pregnancy and you both were upset at one another, but you had this great adult conversation, or like Justine, like with your daughter, like explaining to her you're not going to be replaced. We don't see this a lot on this show.
Yeah.
Like, where did you both develop that?
I think for me, I think it comes from a past where nobody was like that with me, where there wasn't that kind of conversation and emotional intelligence, as you put it. So for me, I wanted to do something different. It's been a long journey. I've worked really hard to, be different than how I was brought up and the things that I've seen or heard. So that's kind of why I am the way I am with my children, and the way I try to be with my partner as well.
Yeah. No, kudos, because I just watch you guys and I'm like, they're actually talking like adults instead of fighting like 4-year-olds.
And to say that, not to throw shade at your family, Michael, but your family we've seen doesn't talk like that. So was that something you as well? Like, did you work on that with Justine, or is it something you developed on your own?
Well, I mean, being in prison, I think you have a lot of self-reflection. So you start to notice things that you've done in the past and how to resolve them better, how to, be more grown about things instead of, like you said, childish. So, why would we, after all the time lost too, I just came home. Last thing I want to do is be mad at her. I'm enjoying every single moment with this woman. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what I want it to be. I want it to be, if there's a disagreement, if there's something you don't like, we talk about it. Come on, tell me. Because moving forward, I don't need you to have that resentment. I don't need you to have that animosity, because you should have told me back then.
Right.
So, I feel like when you voice your opinion, especially with your partner, and you're transparent, that's the key, transparency, then you're able to have that person feel like, well, I can be transparent too. And now we can work to understand each other better. Like, okay, well, you don't like that? I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at it like that. I'll do better next time. You, the same thing,
But it took work. We've been together for some years now, and we didn't start off that way. We had to really get to know how to not only communicate with each other, but how to disagree and argue with each other and do it in the right way. So, we've learned
fight with love.
We've learned that along the way.
Fight with love. That's my only,
I love that.
Fight with love. I mean, when you're fighting with someone, remember, being upset is an emotion. It will pass. But what you do in that moment could be permanent. So remember that it's an emotion right now. I know that's not how I'm going to feel later. So why don't I bring the emotion that I know I feel for her and involve it in this moment?
Yeah.
That's
lovely. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
I feel like y'all could be the couples therapist for other couples. Like, this we just finished, Love After Lockup, and we're about to start the premiere of Life After Lockup, but we've got to ask you, we kind of want to play a little segment called Are They Crazy in Love or Are They Just Crazy? We want to get your opinion on some of the couples and some of them are going to be on Life After Lockup.
Yeah.
I think you have a list, Jake, that you want.
Yeah, I do. Let's start. So it's either crazy in love or just crazy. In other words, do you think they'll make it? Do you think they've got some there? Let's start out with Monique and Derek.
Crazy. They just damn near crazy. They're crazy.
Oh, I agree.
That was a quick answer. I agree with that too.
This is on your season, your business. Travis and Ashley.
We know they're broken up, but what did y'all think about
they are
them?
broken up.
Crazy.
You think so?
Like, do y'all? I gotta ask y'all this. I felt
She looked at him.
like, okay, so for Michael, I keep wanting to call you Montana. Michael, Montana, where were we when we saw Montana Mills rap the first time? I had to change my panties. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, I mean, girl. But anyway, so, but we feel like Ashley, a lot of people think that the person coming out of prison, they're like, he or she's conning them. And we're like, no, bitch.
Not on Love After Lockup.
Ashley fucking conned Travis.
He catfished him.
What do y'all think about that?
Yeah. I think with Ashley, like you said, she's just coming out of prison, and I don't know. I think the dude is cool. No, I mean,
yeah, he seems cool.
Yeah,
I think he seems cool. You know what I mean? And
he
looks like he got his shit together. So I don't know. To be honest with you, it's funny there, but I can tell that he really cares. But she might just not. I don't know. She might not just appreciate him as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about Eris and Cameron, or as Cameron says, Eris and Cameron?
I think they're in love.
I think that Eris is in love. I think Cameron, he's crazy. That's what I think.
I think that's a good
really
one. Yeah.
do like Eris personally.
This is such a worldview side by side of these two. And then finally, Nathan and Skylar.
They're crazy.
They're and also a follow-up question. Are you both creeped out by the dolls in his grandmother's house that they live in?
That was.
I'm creeped out by a lot of stuff.
I mean, like I tell her all the time, people, they express themselves through certain things. Maybe that was her way of like expressing herself to all the dolls.
Grandma.
And stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean,
face.
I wouldn't want to be around that many dolls and stuff.
It was creepy.
Boils back down to crazy.
Yeah. I have another a question
Crazy
for.
shit.
I have a question for Michael. I basically said you're going. The show last season showed you going to the studio, and I have a question: is the studio you're in located in Jacob's mom's house in his attic bedroom?
No, it's actually.
And if
that's a
so,
good question.
did his
the
mom
house-
bring you Totino pizza rolls?
No. So Jake's studio is pretty actually put together. You know what I mean? He has like the nice equipment and stuff, but it's in his house. That's his house, and he just converted the attic into that. You know what I mean?
He just looks so young, though. It literally looked like he was 14.
Is. Listen, Jake is young, but he's very smart, very intelligent. He's very intelligent.
He knows a lot, especially about the music.
About the music, he is like a guru. And when it comes to like his appreciation for the music, it's magical. So I mean, I've been working with Jake ever since. Like I'm so glad the network put us together because I've been working with Jake ever since, and he's been a blessing in my life.
And he is extremely educated as well. Isn't he going for his master's through Berkeley?
Through
Good for
Berkeley.
him.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a great
you know
school
what
of
I mean?
music too.
We were just so shocked that he was young, and we saw his mom going, Jacob, are you doing?
The thing is too, we have a lot of values that we share. He's the father of 3.
Oh, wow.
And he's very connected with his wife and his kids, and I like to be around couples like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Makes
we
it
want to be around.
When I go over there, his wife and myself, we'll sit, we'll chat, we text. So it's been a really good connection.
The dynamic is good.
And with the music, that we wanted to talk about that too. Like they talked a little bit about this on this last season. I know that because a lot of this new season's going to be about like, I mean, y'all got 7/8 kids. I mean, you've got to provide. And so, and with, your music career, what do you think has been like? It's a different industry than when you went into prison. So do you think has been like one of the biggest things you've had to pivot on at this?
Right now it's TikTok. The biggest thing I
Yeah.
had to pivot is TikTok. I can't dance. I'm 6'3".
Hey,
My hips coming out of place now. I'm old as shit.
Dance.
If you need some fly girls named Maddie and Poodle, we'll
be behind you.
Yeah, but no, it's just learning how the music now is being used in reels and short YouTube shorts, and so many things change so fast that I feel like I honestly feel so left out. And little by little, as I reintegrate myself into society, I start to take a little bit from here, and starting to put it together. You know what I mean?
He's learning a lot.
That's great.
Especially with the apps and the phones and all these things. They were not the same some years ago. So
right.
Yeah.
So you'll get it. It is a process. So Justine, you guys are expecting. I question, have you decided on a name, and is it Chad?
It is Chad. Yes, we have decided.
Okay, great.
We have a name for each gender. We're not sure of the gender, but the names, they're great.
That's exciting. I also have one more question. I wrote down, I love your mom and how no nonsense she is, and her kind of distinctive Jersey accent, as I say. And I say, why don't you have that? Is it just
No, it's not as strong.
Listen,
no, it's not
as strong, but it's there.
I think the only thing that saved me was the fact that I have been out of Rhode Island for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So I've picked up a little bit of the whole Pennsylvania thing.
Yeah.
But when I go back home, when I
start talking like your mother.
Yeah.
She's like, you need to park the car right there by the car.
Start talking like your mother.
Huh?
Start talking like your mother.
Listen, but there's still a lot of words that I say that sound ridiculous. But that's just my that's just where I'm from. That's just
it's
it.
like yogurt.
Yogurt.
It's yogurt.
But your mother, literally, you can hear when your mother talks, you can hear like the seagulls in her voice. It's like so close.
We love her. I mean, she reminds me of my grandma Hazel. She does not fuck around.
And she pulls faces. Your mother, the camera would catch your mother in a face that's just like,
that's my mom.
She does it in real life though.
That is literally
it's like
her.
she thinks the emotion, and she
can't.
Like,
no poker face.
Yes, like
I have that same issue. I've realized. I realize like I'm a lot like her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of times those are the biggest disagreements when we were actually like people who we fight with.
Justine, you don't bullshit. How has the relationship been with Michael's side of the family? Because I know kind of where we left it in this last season and what we're going. Are we going to see more of that in this new season of what's going on with them?
Yes. You'll definitely see some interactions between myself and my mother-in-law, as well as both my sister-in-laws and my stepchildren. So yeah, definitely. But I would say we're moving towards a very positive place. I'm very optimistic about everything.
Good. I also have to say, Michael, it's really, we oftentimes see, especially when you have with their families where the son is just like, oh, I love my son. He's, and you sometimes will see the son throw the wife under the bus we did not see you do that. You're like, what you can say in front of my wife, you're going to say in front of me.
That was great. Like, don't talk in Spanish. It was great.
She has a bad habit of doing that. And I understand, sometimes she doesn't do it because she's trying to be sneaky. It's her first language.
Yeah.
So when she wants to talk to me and Spanish people talk really fast, she wants to talk in her native tongue because it's going to come out quicker and she's not searching for the words in English.
Right.
But I feel like it's so rude, especially when you're around someone who doesn't understand the language, to go from speaking English and then start speaking Spanish. The first thing you're going to think, they're saying something that they don't want me to know.
Especially in that moment where I could clearly see that, I could read the room. I knew where we were going.
No, I didn't. I wasn't.
Yeah, a bitch can read a face. I can read a face.
I have to stand by my wife. at all times. Like, we are a unit. So whether I disagree with how she's acting or whatever, I'm going to back her up until we're alone. And then we say, listen, that was out of pocket, or vice versa, and we would discuss how we would handle a situation like that moving forward in the future.
Yeah.
But if I sit there and be like, well, yo, don't talk to my mom like that, or something, like, my mom is being disrespectful right now, that's not cool. You're the one wrong. This is who I'm standing with, and you need to chill. So at the end of the day, I feel like men have to be like that more with their wives.
It's a great boundary to set. One other question. This is more about, we often, when people from Love After Lockup or other reality shows, they often are interviewed after, they will say, I wish you would have seen this moment. I wish you would have seen this moment. Is there anything during filming or any moment that you guys said, I wish that could have been on the show, or I wish the audience could have seen this?
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
We actually, what I was thinking was our first date.
Yes.
Our first date was filmed. He did like a little rap for me at the table. It was really sweet. We looked really good. And yeah, they cut that out. It was actually right after the whole cigar shop, take your ring off ordeal.
Yeah.
We went on our first date after. And that didn't make it in.
It happens because they've got so much footage and they got to kind of tell a story from it. And they're always, if editors, they're always saying, God, that's the Sophie's Choice. That's but we don't have. We only have 10 episodes.
So yeah, and going forward on this season, with the career as being focused, like Justine, like how we're figuring out TikTok, we're figuring out the social media, and I mean, we're thirsty, but we're not coming for him. But how are we talking about? Because these ladies that are going to come in DMs, and it's this line, because people are public persona, how are you, is that going to be on the season of how you navigate? Because I know you trust him, but it's more like how it's such a hard new thing for people to really grasp.
Well, I think first off, Mike and I have a very open type relationship where we don't have passcodes on our phones. I have access to his Instagram all the time, vice versa. He goes in I think he has my account on his phone. Like, we don't have anything to hide. But I will say I'm pleasantly surprised at the women thus far, because they have actually been very respectful of our relationship. A lot of the DMs that we get are all about how they love our relationship, and they love us together and they respect us very much. So I haven't really had to deal with any of that as of yet. But as the career takes off more, that there will be those kind of things. But he comes home to me every night. He takes me everywhere. So I mean, they're not gonna get to him without getting to me first. So.
The ones that do slither in there, we just laugh. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you're asking me if I'm single. Like, there's clearly 1,000 pictures of my wife on the Instagram.
Too. I get a lot of that too, even though I'm not the rapper, but you would
think
but
that girl, you cute. You're pretty. You're really beautiful.
But me being pregnant and you see my husband, you would think that would be a no-go, but no.
I mean, everybody. Sometimes I get a woman sending me a picture of her titties, and I'm like, honey, I'm gay as hell.
Honey, did you hear the curse fall out of my mouth?
Yes. I mean, literally, there's just a picture of me with glitter all over me. Come on.
We're gonna wrap up soon, but we just have a couple of little follow-up questions. One, if these are you little cutesy questions, what is your favorite thing about the other?
Go first.
All right. Well, I love how Justine caters to me. Like, she's so nurturing, and I just feel like if there were rose petals to be put all over the floor, she would have done it, because she just caters to all my needs, and she's very receptive to me, basically being a newborn to the world, because I was gone for so long.
That's a great way to
describe that. She has a lot of patience. She has a lot of patience, and she's there for me, man. So I love that about her.
That's awesome.
My favorite thing, after I got past the smile and everything like that, because that was my favorite.
It's a good smile, yeah.
For the absolute longest. Now that he's home, it's definitely the way he is with my children. He's stepped in. He's been great with them. I can count on him. He's taught my boys a lot. He's brought a lot of positive discipline into the house that we for sure needed. And it's been great. You know, when my kids have an activity, he's there. He's volunteering for baseball because I just signed him up yesterday, and he's super excited about all those things. And my kids really, really, really needed that, and it's been really great. And I'm happy that he does that for them.
Love that.
Oh.
And kind of a follow-up question here. And it's our last question I think we'll have time for. And a lot of people, this is mostly for you, Michael, and for both of you, really. A lot of people aren't able to adjust to life after being incarcerated. And what is the hardest thing for you to get used to that you've had to get used to, and what helped you cope with it?
Well, the hardest thing that I had to get used to was sleeping with her, because I slept alone for so long on a yoga mat that it was like I learned to kind of stay still in that one space and not move around and stuff. And now that I'm in the bed, I'm all over it.
Yeah, he's adjusted well at this point.
At this point,
he's
I'm cool.
Man, like,
but
it's crazy.
That was in the beginning. It was the hardest thing for me because, like, in prison, the minute you hear something, the minute you feel something, you're like on go. You're alert. You jump. You jerk.
Yeah.
So anytime she would move or touch me, I'm jumping. I'm
Those first couple nights were
it was
difficult
rough because like I wasn't used to.
And we had to get up and go look around like the house, just because, it's just something.
It's a PTSD. It's a
It's
PTSD.
exactly what it is. But I feel like we work through that really good together, and I feel like he's on his way.
What about you? What was the hardest thing adjusting to?
Sex.
Because he was ready.
I went for so long without it. I was 3.5 years that I was,
Whoa.
So yes.
Hey, she really did it too. Listen, it got to the point where we drove to the lie detector specialist and everything. She was willing to take a lie detector test to prove that no one was in that coochie. And I was like,
No.
we don't got to do that.
I was very, very, very faithful.
We don't got to do that.
Very faithful.
I'd have to bribe the lie detector guy.
That's a big adjustment, though.
Yeah.
A big adjustment.
We know, girl. Believe me. We know.
We know. Y'all
Heard it here first, y'all. Montana
the
Mills.
Reality Guys exclusive.
Oh my God, you're crazy.
Anyway.
Well, that's a great note to
That's
end
a
on.
great note to end. We love you guys. We wish you a lot of success. I'm so excited that we got to talk to you. And I can't wait to see you on this next season of Life After Lockup.
Yeah, it's going to be a good
You
season.
guys have
We'll
been
come back and
awesome.
talk to you
Thank
soon.
so much.
Thank
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.